Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Simply Spooky, coming at you live on a Wednesday evening. I have to think about that for a minute. I'm losing track of the days. So, as you can see, we are Sans guest at the moment, but we have got one who's going to be coming on soon, and we've got a very, very good guest for you this evening. He's a very interesting chap. He's an all-round knowledgeable individual on different aspects of the paranormal, and he's a nice, lovely man to boot. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But he'll be joining us shortly, and that will be Mr. Steve Mera. So good evening, Paul. I hope you're doing well there, buddy. And good evening to young Sarah. I hope you're doing well there, Sarah. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. So we've got Teddy in the chat at the moment. Please get involved. If you've got any questions, please just put them in the chat, and we'll get round to answering them, or get round to asking our guest the questions that you may have for them.
And share this out for us. Share this out for us if you can.
Oh, yeah, definitely share for us if you wouldn't mind. I am binging and bunging here, and I haven't got a clue what is doing it.
It could be me. It could be me doing it.
It's always you. It's always you. So, yes, we have got a chap tonight who is he's a stalwart of the field, and I want to talk to him, or we want to talk to him about maybe some of the projects that he's got coming up very, very soon. There is one that we know, which is an expo, but I'm going to get him to talk to you about that.
He's also a really good friend as well.
He is.
And you can go to it. If we don't know anything or we want answers to something, we can go to him.
It's our age, Eric.
And if he doesn't know the answer, he knows somebody that does. And that's how much
Thanks, Cliff.
We look up to this guy. He's
he is a lovely, lovely chap.
He's a hero. And he knows a thing or two.
He knows a thing or two about many different subjects. A good evening, young Terence. I hope you're doing well, old chap. That was my posh accent there, very bad.
Terence. Oh, Terry.
It's young Terry Williams.
Oh, dear, I'm still sharing this out.
Now, as you can see, we haven't got Lois with us tonight, so you'll be all right. You'll be able to understand exactly every word that's being said. So that's a bonus. So Viv is sharing away like mad there. If any of you guys could do the same for us, that would be great. Thank you very much. Dan Winter, bald. Calls up Willow. Have you just noticed that, Low? Have you just noticed that I'm bald? I've been bald for a long time. What are you doing watching The Fugitive? You mean I'm The Fugitive, or you're watching the film The Fugitive? If you're watching the film The Fugitive, turn that off and get in the chat now.
I'm nearly done, Dan. Yeah, nearly done.
You're all right. Good evening, young Wayne. I hope you're doing well, buddy.
Wayne. Hello, Wayne, darling. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to get this better.
You've been ignorant, or as I like to call it, pignorant, we call it, where I come from.
Pignorant?
Pignorant. You're just pignorant. Good evening, Annette. Hope you're doing well.
Nettie's in the house. Nettie's in the house. Hope you're well, Nettie.
I'm balancing on just a cardboard box here at the minute. I'm very professional. If you could see the setup, you would see what a joke it is. I'm balancing it on a cardboard box of old plastic dinosaurs, and they're going to the fan. That is my setup. Hi, you Kelly. I hope you're doing well. Great to see you in the chat.
Talking of
doing great, thank you.
Plastic dinosaurs, we have some really, really amazing guests booked in that are coming up to this on this show. So please keep your eye out. You will not be disappointed.
Nice one, nice one. So Wayne's going to be at Comic-Con as a guest. Are you a superhero, Wayne? Is that where you're going at? Where am I? Oh, that's early. Early, Kelly. I've always got a spring under the lid, and one in my step, Terry. A real Ghostbuster, as they've called you.
Oh, I know what Comic-Con he's doing.
Colchester one.
Yeah. He did it a few years ago with Bark. I'm just going to message our guest just to make sure he's okay with the setup and everything.
Is that to do with the people coming on the boats, the little dinghies? Invasion Colchester. Hi, Nikki. I hope you're doing well. The time here is 8:10, Kelly, in the evening. Howdy do, Cliff. Hope you're doing well, bud.
All right, Cliff. I know they say hello to you.
That's because you've been pignorant, as they say. Push that down.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Missed one.
Ooh. Oh, you don't want to miss one.
I don't
That's how it starts. That's how it starts.
Right, let me just message our guest.
Oh, excellent! Last year you did it. Cool. Yeah, I remember you mentioning it before. I didn't know it was that. Yeah, I didn't realise it was last year. I thought it was a few years ago or a couple of years ago. Last one you did.
Hang on,
Not.
I'm just going to come off my audio. I'll be back with you in just a sec.
No problem. Are you farting? No, she's got a phone call. That'll be the guest saying can't make it. Right, bear with us, guys. We will be getting there pretty soon, I'm sure. I hope. Bless you, Nikki. Oh, that's if you're talking about us. Bless you. If you're not, bless you anyway. How do you do, Robert? How do you do, fella? You get involved in lots of cool stuff. You get involved in lots of cool stuff. You're back.
I'm back.
Terry wants you to order him. He wants a meat feast if you can get him one.
A meat feast.
Yeah,
How about a frozen
he's got your order in takeaway. Other guests, Robert. Who do you think it could be? I'll give you a clue. She's mouthy and ginger.
I think our guest tonight is just having some technical issues.
Not technical issues. So, Viv, let's talk about what he's got coming up. He's got a convention coming up pretty soon, isn't he?
The Awakening Expo.
The Awakening.
Oh,
It's mainly it's all ufology, isn't it? I think
it's all I think mainly ufology. I know Barry Fitzgerald's going to be attending and giving a talk, and so is Craig Charles. He's there on the Friday night.
There you go.
Old what's his name out of Red Dwarf?
Craig Charles, or
yeah, Red Dwarf himself, as I call him.
So do you remember that, Robert? I used to love that.
So so he's Craig Charles is going to be giving a talk. Barry's giving a talk. I think Nick Pope is going to be there. Lister, that's it, Lister.
Oh, sorry, your character name, Lister. Look at
Yes.
Sarah. She's a mine of information, Sarah. We'd be lost without her. Okay.
She is
helping us along.
She could be our little dwarf in the background, getting all our information for us.
I bet for her, it must be like trying to look after a couple of pensions in a home.
What's it like?
I'll get that name up for them. They can't remember these things.
What is it called? These elves in the background that do that. Elves. Yeah, not dwarfs. She is Eric.
She is Eric. She's awesome. She is.
So let me go into the information and let me see if I can find it for you guys. Because while he's not here, we'll just talk about him anyway.
Yeah, I've been watching it, Robert. Bless you, Sarah, and thank you. It is appreciated, believe me.
Okay, so the Awakening.
Yeah, it was great.
Expo.
Red Dwarf was great.
So it's Manchester.
Steve's in the chat.
Here he is. Is that him?
It's unbelievable, right?
Good evening, Steve. I hope you're doing well there, sir.
I'm all right, buddy. I switched my computer on. It says, what I do Windows update. I thought, oh, shit. So then it does a Windows update, then restarts, goes back on, wants to do Windows configuration. So flipping out, so I wait for it to do its configuration, restarts, comes back on, Windows is cleaning up. I thought, oh my God. So I had to reboot 3 times. It always does it at the most inconvenient times, doesn't
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all right.
How are
We've been
you
talking
anyway?
about
Glad
you,
you're here.
Steve.
Thank you for coming.
it? That's okay, that's good.
We've just
Sorry,
been talking about your expo.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But now you're here, perhaps you could give us a roundabout idea of what's going on, and
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you want me to do it now?
if you'd be kind. Yes, please.
All right, okay. So the expo is going to be taking place 25th to the 27th of August at Bowler's Exhibition Centre in Trafford Park in Manchester. We usually have a very large one every year. We do satellite ones, which are smaller, usually 2 or 3 of them each year as well. But this is the big one, and we've got 3 days are pretty intense and going great. Pretty intense stuff. We've got a lot of speakers coming from all over the world, and they're going to be talking about bringing forward the most current information on the subject of UFOs, ancient mysteries, and this year as well, incorporating the paranormal. You see, because we really do want to get into that area as well. So we've got some really good guests on the paranormal as well, and psychic phenomena and stuff like that. So we expect quite a large amount to turn up. We have a special guest, which is Craig Day. Oh,
Craig Charles.
Craig Charles.
I was going to say Craig Daniels. That'd be good, wouldn't it? If it's Craig Yeah. So Craig Charles is going to be turning up, and most people will know him from Red Dwarf. But he recently did a TV series on the subject of UFOs. So we thought we'd reach out to Craig, and he's a good lad, and he's coming down to help us out, be part of the show. So that's good. And we've actually even sent out some free invites to to people within certain organisations because of the work that they're involved in. I did get in touch with Sean about this on Power Force.
Yeah. Sure. It doesn't exist anymore. Power Force is gone.
All right. Well, I did reach out anyway, so to let him know that, spread the word. And also that we've got it's a free venue for parking. It's unlimited for the 3 days. There's no charge for that. There's food and drink there, and it's going to be entertaining because we also, anybody that's been to our events will know that we always have a bit of a theme, and we have Star Wars characters, and we try and make it a little bit like a Comic-Con in a sense of speaking. We want to make it entertaining for this younger generation as well, trying to get them into the subjects. So yeah, it's going to be pretty full on over the next 3 days. It's the largest expo in Europe on the subjects, and it takes a good 12 months to plan it.
Yeah, I know that from doing the Paraforce ones. Working behind the scenes is ridiculous. It's a lot of work.
It's making me go grey,
Yeah, but you still look good, Steve. I'm sure Jackie still loves you, I'm sure.
Yeah, she will do when I'm in my grave, and done it all. I say I've been there and done it, and this way it put me, But
So what I wanted to talk. Oh, sorry. Have you finished, Steve? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
After the event, I literally had to take a week off just to kind of come back down to earth again, really, in a sense. But you know what? We all enjoy it. We do as much as we can. It's very long days. I mean, we start about 7 o'clock in the morning. We don't leave the place till 1 or 2 the following morning, and then it's to do that for 3 days. It's no easy task.
Take it out of you.
It really does, yeah. I mean, but we're all looking forward to it. It should be interesting.
Excellent. So, have you? The important thing is, have you got tickets left still?
If people want to buy tickets, yeah. I mean, we're sold out almost on the VIPs. We only have a few left for the VIPs, but we still have some Saturday and Sunday slot gold tickets available. So if anybody wants to come, they can get in touch with me through Facebook, Steve Mera, or they can go directly to Ticket Quarter and purchase tickets there. If they're interested in having a stall at the event, that's not an issue either. We can always sort something out for that. So yeah, it's
Excellent.
complex.
Excellent. And another important thing, dates. What dates are they that you've got available? What dates is it on?
The event takes place on August the 25th to the 27th, which is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the good thing is, people say, wow, you're doing a Sunday, but the good thing is, it's Bank Holiday Monday the following day afterwards. So,
Yeah.
We can get away with it this year.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's great. Now, obviously, you're the ufology guy, and I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You've seen the uptake in activity, videos, what's going on in the United States with the government, disclosure, everything else, and also what's happening. Was it Peru? I think in the last few days.
Peru, yeah.
What do you think about this? What's your feelings and thoughts on it all?
Well, I was straight onto the Peru stuff, right? And the problem is that anything that comes out of Peru, first of all, take it as a pinch of salt. I know that from being there and going there and doing investigations. And there's so much dodgy stuff, to be honest, coming out of Peru. It turns out, again, a bit of a letdown, because it turns out that it was a gang of people which were trying to frighten neighborhoods, dressed up, attacking people, that sort of thing, spreading rumors to get them away from the home so they could be robbed. It's as simple as that, So unfortunately, not an extraterrestrial explanation. But I was very dubious to begin with. I mean, hey, it'd be interesting if it was the case, Now, if it's coming out of Brazil, it's a bit of a different story, because there are some stories about some incidents that's taking place in Brazil again. And those are certainly more interesting, than the ones from Peru. I mean, I thought, strange, you've got these people talking Peruvian, and some text coming up on screen, and you don't know what they're saying, to be honest with you. Assuming they're saying what is coming up on the screen. That isn't always the case for the first thing. And secondly, there are people that have been attacked, but it's these guys, some of these guys have even got a jetpack. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen these jetpack things, but they can make people fly around a little bit. So it's obviously, they're obviously going, it's a very well organized crime unit.
Yeah.
And the Peruvian police are all over it, so unfortunately, that's what I've found out so far. So I kind of taken my foot off the pedal a little bit in regarding some of the stuff from Peru. But like I said, there are some interesting things from Brazil. Now, when it comes to the stuff out of the US and all this stuff that's been going on recently, we have a very good saying here in the UK, and it's called "all fur coat, no knickers." Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, if you've got to read between the lines on that one, and the thing is, it's great to have all these people coming forward. There's now a legislation to allow people from in the military and pilots and the army and stuff to come forward and be able to say, yes, I've seen this and I experienced this without any reputation, without any comeback, should we say, because initially they wouldn't talk about it because they used to have what is referred to as the 1010. And the 1010 would have been £10,000 fine and 10 years in prison. As simple as that, because of the Secret Acts and whatnot. However, that's given the opportunity for a number of people to come forward, and so they have. But the problem is that you might have benches of people sat there and saying, yes, they do check out, they've got good credentials, but we're talking about some very, fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And it's worthy of nothing without any evidence. There's no evidence of anything apart from their own words. And be honest, it's the same words that we've all heard before. We all know before, it's no secrecy that, that the government, the US government, have been sat on the subject of UFOs for well over 70 years, and they pretend that they haven't got a clue what it's on about. I mean, the last hearing, they had two clowns in there representing from the US government, and they didn't even know what Roswell was. And he said, Roswell, what's Roswell? I thought, oh my God, that's the end of that, isn't it? Get rid of it. And I'm thinking to myself, who are these clowns? Of course they know what bloody Roswell is. They're not a UFO, hearing. And I just had to shake my head, and I thought, do you know what? It's all front. Now the problem is that most of these guys don't have a clue that they're talking to there. And those that do have a clue are never going to release anything.
No.
We will not get disclosure. It doesn't matter how many times they're going to bring it to a table. And I'll tell you the reasons why we will never get disclosure. Because people that think we're going to get disclosure think They have this idea that it's the extraterrestrial hypothesis that these things are traveling the vast distances of space to come and visit us humans on planet Earth. The truth of the matter is that this UFO subject is age old. It's always been here, always. In fact, we might be the new kids on the block, and it's right under our noses and can interact with us at any given time. They have air supremacy. You know, we can't protect ourselves against those incidents. And plus, it's got a very, very deep connection with the paranormal and the occult. And boy, some of the, you know, famous people in the past exploit that. You know, we've got evidence of that. There's no way they're going to turn around and tell the public that. I mean,
No.
you know, say, okay, you know, but what we do get is a storyline. And that storyline is like any old sci-fi TV show. It's like Star Trek. They're all bipedal. They're all coming from other planets. They're all doing their own thing. They're interacting with humans. Some of them have a prime directive. Some of them don't. And I just think to myself, nah, it's not the case. No evidence. Where's the evidence of it? There's not. There's no evidence of it. What there is evidence of is that this is very profound, has paranormal and occult connections. Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is really go back in time and look, when was the first contact made? I tell you when the first contacts were made. They were made around the science tables. You know, it was around the Vril Society in the German forces. The Skull experiment did the same thing. You know, even Bell and Boeing were involved in seances back in the 1960s and 70s, right? Because they were talking to allegedly non-human entities through the seances that they were to gain information about advanced aeronautical information. And that's exactly the same thing the Germans were doing with Vril. Now, these entities, don't get me wrong, yeah, they'll communicate and they're deceptive and they can deceive and they can tell lies, but they never give you a full picture. What they do is they give you little pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And that little piece, you might think, well, we might be able to use that, and we might be able to use that. And what it does is it's designed to encourage you more and more and more. And the more encouragement you have, the more regularly you start to open that contact experience. And the more you do that, what unbeknowing through excitement and, you know, and what you're experiencing is that the phenomenon is slowly but surely getting under your skin.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you've got the hitchhiker effect where you're carrying it back home. It's affecting your lives. You know, it interacts with us in a very deceptive manner. You know, and then there's people running around out there think it's all love and light. Oh, they're here to save humanity. No, they don't give a crap about us. I mean, look at all the wars and things, and what they don't intervene. No, you know.
Do you know what? I agree with you, and I think that I've been reading a lot lately, and a lot of it seems to relate back to not that I'm not saying it's got credibility or credence, but a lot of it seems to be relating back to biblical text, right?
Exactly.
You know, and I'm beginning to wonder whether these things they're not what we think they are. I think there's something entirely different, and I've got a funny feeling that they're to be not too dramatic. I'm beginning to wonder if they're coming from a demonic realm.
Do you know what? The thing is, Danny, is that what we need at these hearings are people within the bloody UFO and demonological community, not from the UFO community, because they're too biased in believing the extraterrestrial hypothesis.
Totally agree.
The research, right? It's linked in with the occult. These things can appear to be whatever they want to be, you know. And isn't it great to have that one-liner? Oh, well, you know, it's the ecology of the earth. You've got to look after it. Well, hang on, guys, what have you done to do anything about it? If you're so worried about it, have you stopped it? Have you done anything? No, you've allowed us to carry on and on to a point where all these people are running around now going, oh, it's the ecology of the earth and the planet's in trouble. Do you know what? We're well past it. We're well past saving the planet now. We're 20 years past it. We just have dealt with this 20 years ago. But the biggest problem is we cannot press the stop button and it stops. If we go to press the stop button today, it's a rolling stop. It takes about 20 years. We're already past it. And that is why all the efforts now are into looking for new planet Earth, and it is saving our own, because we've done too much damage. And
Yeah.
what have they done to stop it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Climate change, weather manipulation, the lot. They've done nothing. And really, are they worried about us killing ourselves? No.
But do you think at all that the information that we've got, I mean, obviously in the last, say, 150 years, we've evolved to such an extent, scientifically, and, all the different aspects of humanity seems to have just got the fast train in the last 150 years. Do you, and it has to seem to have a negative impact on the way that the planet's going and everything else. Do you think that that's information that we've picked up via those beings as a way of getting to the point of destroying us?
You're absolutely right, Danny. The best way to look, there's a war going on. I'll be honest. There's a war going on between them and us. And the problem is we're losing.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not enough people out there who are ounce and noggins to realise what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about getting into your religion and all that sort of thing, because you know what, they're all hokey. You start looking at the Catholic Church, you start realising, well, hang on a second, that's Sumerian, hang on a minute, that's Egyptian. Even the Lord's Prayer is bloody Egyptian. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely preposterous. The thing is, they're manufactured, right? The thing is, these gods, and I'll say gods because it is gods, not God.
Yeah.
Whatever these are, these deities, these beings that demanded blood sacrifice. Even our own God did that. Oh, you've got to kill your brother because I want a blood sacrifice.
Yeah.
You think, well, hang on a second. That's the same as the Incas and the Aztecs and the Mayans.
Yeah.
The same bloody thing. No different. Not falling away from the tree too far. And the thing is that for us, we're running around trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And the biggest problem is that we've been deceived. We're being influenced. Even to the point of changing history. These things have done. They turn up as like, oh, I'm an angel, and I'll whisper in the Pope's ear, go and invade Constantinople. Well, he did because of an angel whispering in his ear. 318,000 people put to death. On a whim of a whisper, the influence. These entities will appear to be angels. Didn't even exist until Ezekiel turned up, and we all know about Ezekiel and his wheel. Biblical text of them, and you go through it. Demonics, demons, interdimensional beings, shape-shifting. It's not that the shape-shifting. I think what they do is these know how we click so well.
Yeah.
They want to do things like the paranormal. There's no difference. Paranormal, an entity appears at night, a shadowy apparition. You wake up, you're paralyzed, you can't move. It does what it does. Okay. Exactly the same thing. 3 small beings turn up, light shining through the window, UFO entities. What is it? Oh, yeah, paralysis again. We end up in paralysis every night in REM sleep. It's part of the natural body's process of doing that. All they're doing is coming in and pressing the buttons, what we already have. And we're paralyzed. And they know us so well. They can change the way we perceive. We might see it as this, we might see it that. Children see it as toys, animated toys or rabbits, and sometimes they're owls and deers with big eyes. You know what? Then the clowns, and then the this, that, the other. And then you look through the list. There's over 2,000 varied entities. Oh, all bipedal by chance, so that we recognise that they're entities, of course.
Right.
And you've got to go to the bottom of the sea to realise how different life is there.
Yeah.
And then we think,
that's your own planet.
2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and it's don't make any sense.
No. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. And it's we're being played.
Absolutely.
I think we're being played, completely being played. And I don't think, to be honest with you, that people can grasp the concept of what's actually going on.
No.
I've got some questions in the chat that I want to get to, Dan.
Go on.
Because they're coming in thick and fast. So we might sort of backpedal a little bit, Steve, and I do apologise.
Okay.
Terry talks about we'll never see the tapes and recording discs taken off the ships and jets. I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I mean,
intercommunication.
The thing is, when it comes to technology, and if Terry's talking about technology, and they're what the thing is, there is a governance. There's an hierarchy, just as there is in humans. There's a hierarchy. We have the what we might say is the those that run the countries, those that run the world, the Illuminati. There's a hierarchy in humanity just as well. But we don't see the hierarchy. What we see is the genetic drones. These are genetically created drones, appearing to be so, should we say. And they don't care about having a few of these objects crash, and sacrificing those drones because it means nothing to them,
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that these acts are done on purpose, and we've been drip fed this technology on purpose, because the biggest problem is to get humanity, and this is why we're losing the war, is to get humanity away, disconnect us from our awareness, our sensitiveness, the earth itself. Our ancient ancestors, far superior than we were. They knew exactly, they felt things, and they knew about what was in their surroundings. Yeah, we're literally blind now because of the poison we breathe, the poison we drink, and the poison we eat. And every single day we consume it. And that's what they want. And the more we do that, the more disconnected we become with ourselves. We've not even got a fight or flight response these days.
No.
If you're a normal investigator, you really need to have a flight or fight response.
See, Dan?
It's your body telling you, oh, your skin, it's your organ, biggest organ on your body. Your skin reacts, it's your fight or flight response. And that is your survival sense. We've still got it. We don't just go to Tesco's once a week to survive. And the thing is, people don't realise that what they're doing is that, especially when they go on investigations, what they do, they take the candy bars, they take the Coca-Cola, and all those things are full of refined sugar. Refined sugar is designed, and it's a poison to the body, it's an addiction, and what it does, it's designed to do, it's created purposely to disconnect us from the fight or flight. It causes adrenal weakness. That adrenal weakness means that when your body is screaming at you, just because you can't see anything, just because you can't hear anything, doesn't mean it's not there.
No.
Yeah.
And I know that you can go into a building, you can go into one particular room, and woof, you feel it. You feel the hairs go up on the back of your neck. That's your body telling you, hang on a second, because you can't see it, you can't feel it. You can't see it and hear it. Your body knows it's there. Your survival sense is tingling like bloody Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's telling you, I don't like it. Sometimes it's saying get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
But people are walking into those places now and not completely disconnected from that emotion. And the problem is that they're not realizing that how close they're becoming to this phenomena that can cause harm, that can cause problems, and are completely disconnected. And that is done on purpose. It's a disconnection. And giving us technology before we earn it is a massive, massive problem. And this is what we've got now. We've got everything from the 60s and 70s just went black. All technology, all flying around in the same aircraft we did from years ago. It's just gone black. Everything's gone black. And you look at the curvature of technology, we think, well, hang on a second, we should be traveling at 350,000 Mach now.
Yeah.
According to the double speed 10-year rule. And yet we're not. And why is it? Because it's all secret, all gone black. The problem is giving a box of matches to kids, and that's what they've done on purpose. They've let us have these bits of technology, sacrificing these drone type beings, whatever they are, and they don't care because it's causing us disconnect. It's leading into a place that we're not supposed to go at this given time. And the biggest problem is that, we're trying to think, okay, this is the world we live in. This is not the world reality that we live in.
No, I agree. And I think it's getting back to what you were saying earlier about the way that the way that they're devising, the way that we're actually seeing these things. It's amazing. I think that 100 years ago, 120 years ago, the attributes and the behaviour of things that we called elementals and like goblins, fairies, that type of thing, seems to now be gone.
Yeah.
But the activity that's exactly the same has been taken over. But the image of the alien is in its place.
That's exactly it, and that's what's really important for people to focus on, like you've done, Danny, because the phenomenon stays the same, but the mask is forever changing. Where's all the Space Brothers now from the 1950s?
Yeah.
Brothers. And then he came out and said, oh, well, hang on a sec, the Greys, well, they're the bad guys, and the Space Brothers, they're the good guys. Well, hang on a second, what about Travis Walton? And he had them both working together with it.
Yeah.
Now, tell you what happened is that Travis Walton woke up on this bench. He flipped out. He went to swing something at these small grey aliens. They went, oh, my God, get out of here. So they run out of the door only to change the perception into something else, which is manage Travis and get him off the ship. That's what they did, because there's no way. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just too ridiculous. The thing is that when you look through it, I mean, it's 30 different types of greys alone, if that's the case. I mean, look at the Westall UFO incident, right? And the aerial UFO encounter, both at schools, grey aliens with long black hair.
Yeah.
It's come straight out of a tin. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's true. It's true. It's madness.
It is true. It's because what they were doing to those kids, and this is what doesn't get released, is this craft lands, they see this entity, all the kids scream and run away except for 4. 4 of them are locked. And what happens, that entity stood on top of the ship, it creates something. And what it creates is another entity, which is, funny enough, like a cartoon, appearing and skipping and jumping along as it's happening.
Yeah.
Skipping and jumping along as it's happening. And then it disappears and reappears and does it again and does it again. It's like a video play.
Yeah.
And the kids are completely, these 4 kids are locked on. Whilst this is happening, that other entity is slowly approaching the kids and literally got within meters of them. And when they realized that it was too late and this thing is all in front of them, one message came to them: we want you to come with us. And if that is not deception, and if that is not worry for our kids, what the hell is?
Yeah, there's nothing positive about that, is there?
No,
absolutely nothing positive about that.
No love and light. I mean, I've talked to people that say it's all love and light and they're here and they're helpful. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand there are people that have experiences. But how do you rule a good experience? Well, when you find out, you interview them, you figure it out, actually. You say, okay, well, I didn't have a bad experience because it was a good experience. I said, well, how do you know? And they said, well,
you know what confuses me? If these experiences are so good, how comes everybody, well, almost everybody that comes back says they were terrified?
They don't, yeah, exactly. I mean, those are the people that say, I'm a contactee, and they've been interacting with me and they've been helpful and they've been telling me things and teaching me things. Do you know what? It's just, again, we are childlike. We are so easy to manipulate, and they'll do that. And they'll tell us lovely little stories and things.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to rely on yourself. Not here.
Well, yeah.
You've got to rely on yourself to figure it out. And it's like any paranormal investigator. When you walk into that place and you know something's there and it's not good, and you feeling get the hell out of it, then you get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
What if you can't? What if you can't? In the respect that you're helping someone.
If you can't, right, there are certain things to know what's happening now in these environments. And I'll tell you how we're doing it. We're using some very clever pieces of equipment called flow time bands. These are brain wave bands that you put on your head. They measure your brainwave activity and send that information directly to your mobile device, your phone. And it's recording your brainwave activity whilst out on location. Now, I'll tell you what, Viv, what's really interesting is that when you see a UFO in the sky, it can be very exciting. But when you watch a UFO, when we look at a UFO, something quite profound is happening. The UFOs, all the individuals within them, know they're being watched, because it's like the dual slit experiment. The dual slit experiment, or the double slit experiment, it's called either, shows about our reality, that our reality is manufactured by us seeing it. It's reality. In other words, when we're watching certain things, they act differently. When we don't watch them, they act differently. You think about poltergeist phenomena, I'm sure we saw something move over there. Did we? We watch it, it didn't move. We take our eyes off it, bang. Because we quantum lock it when we're watching it. The UFOs have the same, it's like Bluetooth pairing. right? Observer effect, conscious connection. They can lock onto us. And I tell you what, just within 20 seconds, they can have us. It's as simple as that. That's how easy we are. Because what happens is we don't realize what's happening. But when you've got these flow bands on and you measure your brainwave activity, what happens is you end up in, now this shouldn't happen in a conscious awake state, is that your brainwaves are changing into theta.
Right.
The brainwave is about sleep, being hypnotized is theta, dream state is theta. All those things that can be easily manipulated, like your perception and your cognitive abilities, happen in theta. When these things grab you, and we don't even know we're entering it. Well, there is clues, but we haven't figured it out, right? And I tell you those clues. When we're on a paranormal investigation, and all of a sudden we see something which is just, oh my God, one of those moments, yeah? We might have a camera. Do we take a picture? No, we don't. Why don't we take a picture? And I'll tell you why we don't take a picture, because we don't have in control of our cognitive abilities. We see sometimes UFOs, and okay, there's always something far in distance in the sky. But where's all the close ones? Where's all the, why aren't people doing what they're supposed to be doing? There's millions of photographs of UFOs in the distant sky. Why isn't there one close up? Why is there not photographs of these entities? Why? Is it because we lose complete control of our cognitive abilities? It's happened to me. I've seen I'm close to me and not been able to act. If I see something close to me, and my colleague, it happened to me, colleague, we were both driving down the road. It came flying right across in front of us, off the ground, shot down, and we were like, oh my God. Now, mate, I'll be straight out the car, slam the brakes out the car. I want to know. Don't bother me. I want this. This is what I want to do. Anybody knows me, I'm like that.
Yeah.
No, none of us do. None of us even mention it to each other until half a mile down the road. And all of a sudden, it's like, all light bulb moments come on. I say, hang on a sec, did you just see that? Slam the brake on then. Oh my God, what have you just seen? Da 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 da. Why were we not allowed to act at the time? Because we had us. Our cognitive abilities are impaired.
I've got a question about this, and this is from a personal experience. So, could we enter into a cognitive experience or theta with a physical phenomenon happening? When I say physical, let me explain to you. I walked into a room and there was a substance dripping off the walls that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. A friend walks in, we touch the substance, and I even do this and play with it, and like, oh, it's disgusting, and I wipe it on my jeans to get it off my hands, and she says to me, lick it. I went, don't be stupid, I don't know what it is. She licked it. All right, then I'll do it. And she did it just with the tip of her tongue. What does it taste like? It's very salty. I need to go and get some water, get some pictures, Viv. Took some pictures, came out to see if she was okay. Went back in the room, it's all gone.
Yeah.
We then look at the pictures, nothing on the pictures. So can two people enter this cognitive state with a physical thing happening that we're touching?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say, obviously, a word of warning, never, ever touch some of this stuff with your hands.
Oh, did.
Seriously, biological hazards do happen. Don't do that. Don't fancy taste it. I mean,
she tasted it. What is it? She goes, I'll lick it, and she did, because it was like orangey in colour, but very, very light orange, like it could have been blood or plasma.
Plasma. I mean, you don't want biological. It's biological. Plasma is biological. You don't want that. So, the enzymes of blood and stuff. You don't never do that. No, I would never touch anything physically with your hands. And put a pair of gloves on, fair enough. Take samples, But no, definitely not. But do you know what? It's never good to come into that close physical contact with stuff like that. And you are right. I mean, the phenomena demonstrates in a UFO and the cryptid, funny enough, exactly the same thing. When people are saying, why don't they act normally? And why don't they act normally? It's like the game. It's like a puppet show. It's like it's inducing fear. It's about fear pheromones. That's what it is. Yeah. It's like podcast on it. It feeds on fear. So do cryptids. And cryptid phenomena, it feeds on fear, and It scares these teenagers, and they run into their house, and this thing's coming up, and it's shaking the handle of the door, and it's going like you do for scaring a 6-year-old, you know. And what happens when Dad wakes up upstairs? What the bloody hell is all this? I've got work in a few hours, and the kids are going, "No, open the door, Dad! No, open the door!" And he flings the door open, comes face to face with this thing. What happens? It just backs off and walks away. Game over. You know, there's no fear for, you know, and it's exactly the same thing. These dogmen chasing 4 people down the true story, chasing 4 people down a track, a railroad track, a train track. And you know, it's a nightmare when you're running down train tracks. It's so easy to fall. And of course, what happens? One of them falls over. The other 3 think, "Bugger this, I'm carrying on running." This thing is about 7 foot tall. It's about 4.5 foot wide on its shoulders. It's freaking monstrous. It gets up to this guy, and what happens? The instinct takes over. That don't move instinct. It's like little furry animals, isn't it? If I don't move, it might think I'm dead and be left.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, because he was just gone beyond the threshold of terror into that position. That's that save me position, and it's like a fetal position on the floor, and he can't move because of the fright. And this thing was and then what? Well, any predator on the planet acts the same. They pursue, they kill. What good to put all that energy into it without doing it? It's as simple as that.
Do you know what? I agree. And I think the thing is,
never touched him. He just went game over and ran away. I mean,
that's a weird thing. So do you think? I mean, I often wonder: is it like the perception that we have of these things? I mean, if you take it that these things are spiritual, or could be spiritual, and you take it that our perception of the material world, well, there isn't material. I don't think there is a material world. I think the perception that we've got is our consciousness creates.
Yeah.
So if they can manipulate that, they are in fact manipulating our consciousness, aren't they?
Yeah. Our
so is it?
Perceptions, everything. We are puppets. We're so
exactly. So people that say that
we think we're clever. We think, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to get ahead of them. I'm going to figure it out. We will never ever do it.
No.
Even the best people in the world, and don't get me wrong, you know, yes, the highest people in the world that are working on with close proximity to this subject, UFOs, beings, whatever, even the paranormal, they think they've got a foothold on it. No, they will never get a foothold on it, because this is the same phenomena. It's godly, it's spiritual, it's deities, it's demonic, it's angels, it's entities, you name it, it is.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what happened. A few years ago, there was something called the CRS experiment, and it was utilizing almost a quantum computer, AI, one of the most advanced computers in the world. And it took 3 years of feeding all this information into this computer. Well, in other words, we take the paranormal and we feed it all the information about paranormal into it, such as hauntings, doppelgangers, poltergeists, evil spirits, spiritual phenomena, psychic phenomena. Everything goes in there, even the sub little categories of it, you know. And then they did the same for the UFO and the cryptids and crop circles and cryptozoology and all those things. And they fed it 3 years of every single piece of data they could possibly do, in hope of eventually press the button and it's going to tell us what the hell is it all about. Eventually comes the day, they press the button, expecting reams and reams of information to come out. No. 2 sentences came out. The first sentence is that because it saw so much interconnectivity between all this phenomena, the computer said it's a source.
Yeah.
It's a source responsible, and it's a source that has the capabilities, get this, to creating physiological constructs. In other words, this it's all physical constructs. In other words, it vibrates at a certain frequency, it doesn't exist, and go right through it. You know, they demonstrated that by being able to walk through walls and take people through ceilings and all that sort of a thing. You know, the thing is that we are locked into this reality that we think, and is much, much more. I mean, the human's the most limited creature on the planet.
Yeah.
A pet dog, a chihuahua next door's got better ability than us.
It's true.
Every single insect, every single animal, every single bird got better senses. We are the most limited creatures of this planet. Why do you think It's not done accidentally. We are limited on purpose.
Mm.
And we're limited to see this much when that much exists.
Mm.
And this allows them to do what they want around us, and us not realizing because we only know this.
Well, yeah.
So that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Fully agree with that. Fully agree with that.
Guys, can I just, I want to just sort of change the subject a little bit because I want to promote it as well. Because for people that don't know, Phenomena magazine. Now, this is a worldwide publication.
It is.
Jam-packed with a lot of good information. I know that you're responsible for Phenomena magazines.
Yeah, I own the magazine. The days of me actually creating it have well gone for many years. I think we're about 18 years in now, something like that. It's a digital magazine, and because we thought about getting into print many years ago. Biggest problem in this country, like any other country, is that the printing costs are absolutely ridiculous. And we know this. We know this from just doing our awakening program. You know, we print our awakening program. We'll sell it for £5. So we get the quote for 500, £2,490. £2,490 for 500 copies. That is £10 short of of being £5 each.
Yeah.
Right. And we charge £5. So what do? We make we don't even make a penny on the issue. In fact, it is the same amount. So we create all this work and all these printing for 500 copies for the VIPs, and it actually is the same. They're getting it for the same price it is for us to print it. And that's the problem. So we thought we've got to get out more, So we started to create a digital copy, because even Vogue is going, they have a digital copy now. It's the few digital copies. And that allowed us to get out all over the world. And over a period of time, I had a number of different people come to me and wanted to become an editor of their own Phenomena magazine in their own country. So we have, because we do the English one every month. It's available. It's not due bi-monthly. It's not quarterly. It's every single month. We like to keep people updated because Phenomena happens quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
3 months, it's been and gone.
Yeah, so, it's true. Yeah.
So we do it every month. We formulate it. It's absolutely free because it's designed to just give us information, and it's designed to network. It's designed to bring people together, break down barriers and language barriers in other countries. And this is where we have our standalone copies like Spanish and so on and so on and so on. And it isn't a duplicate of the English one. It's a completely separate magazine, but it is Phenomena magazine, and that will relate to Spain, and this will relate to UK, and that will relate to Portugal, and so on and so forth. And we're in 12 countries now. And we're in 4 different languages, and we have about 1.8 million readers every month.
Wow!
And the reason is because, and people keep coming to me and say, "How do you get so successful?" Da 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 da. Those figures are like better than some of the shop. Well, they will be. Well, why? How do you do it? It's free, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's free. It's not good. You don't have to pay a penny for it. That's why it's successful, because people today don't want to buy it. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to. If I want to know something, just go on YouTube or go on Instagram, and watch it and watch it for free, or go and find out. Okay, it might be a lot of disinformation. Fair enough, but it happens even in products you buy. The disinformation. I've picked up magazines and thought, what a load of crap that is. That's not true. I've seen documentaries on television on Amazon. I think, what the hell is this? And yet it's everywhere. So can't get away from it. But doing it free allows people to network. And that's what it's about. It's about being a team. It's about all trying to achieve the same thing. For the small, limited time we're all here on planet Earth. And believe me, it goes fast on it, guys. Is that at least we're aware that there's much more to the world around us.
Yeah.
And at least try to learn about something by the short time we're here and share that information. Because what else are we here for if we don't leave a footprint? Or learn something, because we're just like everybody else then, just going to work, mundane society, keep your head down, never look up, never ask questions, and that's not life. You've got to live life.
It's a waste of energy, isn't it, unless you go out there looking.
So guys, check this out. The link's there. Go and
Yes,
have a
it is a
look.
phenomenal magazine. It's a
I
phenomenal magazine.
fully
Phenomenal.
recommend it. I'm not just saying it because Steve's on.
It is good.
I
It's
fully
brilliant.
recommend it, and you might learn something from there. You know,
You will
I'm
definitely.
always
Yeah.
learning.
Well, we
Yeah,
like
it's fantastic.
also, you know, we put on there as well all the back issues, which is great because people
Oh,
just
great.
come and click archive, and they've got all the magazines they can get. They can read them online, they can download them, they do what they want, they can share them. You know, there's no restrictions at all. That's what's good about it. How many times you go and try a magazine? It's always restrictions. It's pointless. You know, I've seen this happen so many times, but yeah, all the back issues are there, guys, as well. So, you know,
Brilliant.
Dan, do you want to ask?
Right. If it's all right, can I ask you, Steve? Cliff has asked a question for you. Can you explain why we've evolved compared to our ancestors?
Yeah, absolutely. Dead easy, dead simple. It's done by design.
Yeah.
Done by design to keep.
Oh yeah.
You know, that old story. The guy with the biggest stick wins. It's the same thing. I want your cave. Boom. You know, it's the same thing
Yeah.
nowadays, isn't it? No different. Guy with
Exactly it. It's exactly it.
and that is what's happened over the years. And our ancestors, yeah, we can get people that dig out bones and we say, oh, yeah, they were 5'8", and this is how they must have lived, and this may be how they ate, and tells us absolutely nothing really about them. What about their psychic abilities? What about their consciousness? Were they in tune with planet Earth? Could they even hear infrasonic sound? Absolutely, they could. They knew Earth resonated at 7 hertz. How do you know that? You know, we can't hear it. We can't hear anything like that, you know, but yet they did. And these were the superior beings, our ancestors. And as time has gone on, we've been divided, we've been socialized, we've been controlled.
Yeah.
And that process causes de-evolution.
Yeah.
Not evolved. We've got worse and separated because there is a hierarchy that knows more than us and wants to keep us away. They don't want us enlightened. They don't want us to get together and band together because people are powerful. And what happens when you get too powerful is that they take you out of the picture. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, right. You see it daily, don't you? Exactly.
If you can get 10,000 people to jump at the same time, you're on a dangerous list. It's as simple as that. It's just control, and they've done it on purpose.
Read that one, Dan.
So Wayne says, myself and Mark took a picture of the famous triangle at Rendlesham Forest. We had watched 5 others fly past, and eventually 2 jets from Lake and flew over. None of the 6 objects were registered on flight radar app.
Yeah, it's interesting, Rendlesham, because everybody thinks it all circulates around the Rendlesham incident of December 1980. The incidents go back thousands of years. In fact, the little towns around Rendlesham are like, it's just crazy. It's like Elveston and, you know, Gnome Hill. And why? It's because the whole place is associated to this ancient phenomena. And it still carries on even today in the forms of UFOs. I mean, there have been plenty of UFO incidents long before the 1980 December incident in Rendlesham. Paranormal. The location of the forest is there's a lot of paranormal crap that happens in there, you know, and it goes back thousands of years. If you go further back than that, you'll start getting into the gentries and the elves and the pixies and all those weird things that people were seeing and trying to protect themselves from, because they'd still come in the night and they still do nasty things.
It's exactly the same activity, isn't it?
Exactly the same. It's just a different mask, you know. And you know, we've got the alien grey at the moment, and the perceptions of it and its physicality. But don't forget, people just think, well, if it's physical, it can't be something you can manipulate. Oh yeah, because physical constructs. You know, people can shape.
It's
paranormal things can be physical.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, so it's perception of your reality, isn't it? What you think is reality. Yeah, exactly.
It can become physical, just like talk. Where did they originate? Oh, it originated in witchcraft. You know, creating tulpas, creating real living being creatures into this real physical 3D world we know by thought.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing today. When we gather a bunch of people like Stephen Greer does, and gets a bunch of people to go and meditate in a location. Oh, and they're dead surprised that sometimes phenomena appears. Well, that's because you want it to appear. It's no different than having 5 mediums around the table and wanting something to experience. Same phenomena. It's people don't realise that we can and we do have the power to conjure. We are all witches.
Yeah.
In that sense, we have the power to conjure. If we get together and think over a period of time, we will have phenomena. And if we like into that, we will give it strength, we'll give it being, and eventually it become its own source. And this is what happened during the Philip experiment, in Ontario.
Viv and myself took part in an experiment some time back, didn't we? Where the idea of we were doing a vigil, and it was a question or an answer a word we had to think of. And then they played or they were recording on audio. So it was digital recording on audio, and everybody had to think of this same word and concentrate on the subject, which was the voice recorder. Mm. And lo and behold, when it was played back, the word that was given to us was played out, was voiced on that voice recorder. Yeah. So it was manifested by the people that were there.
Exactly. You look at skull experiments, and you open the doors to all the scientific community. All the scientific community descended on there to think that they were going to resolve it all quickly. No, they never did resolve it. The Society of Psychical Research just give up because they couldn't explain it. And why? Because all the scientists said, well, do you know what? I thought about I saw these lights, and do you know what? They even saw flying saucers, small flying saucers the size of dinner plates, flying around and firing beams of light onto the table, which never moved off the top. These things went through the table, came back up onto the table, bounced on the table. Next minute, not. And they think to themselves, "Oh, I wish one had come over and touched me on the hand." Whew, straight over.
Yeah.
It's landed on my hand. I can feel mass to it. I can go like this. I can cover and see the light through my face. My face can be seen in the darkness because everybody else can see the light emitting from it. The physical source things. And UFOs appeared before the entities did, of course, during Skull, and that was kind of how it came to an end. But the thing is that these things can be very physical in origin, and when they do, how do we discern the difference from the paranormal? Like, oh well, it's an apparition and they're not really real. Well, yes, they can be. So yes, they can manipulate our reality, both sides of the coin.
I want to just ask you one thing. I just want to get it in here quick because I'm absolutely fascinated with this. I've been watching a series on that dreaded Something Fix channel.
Yeah.
On the telly box. And I've been watching this Ancient Civilizations. And there's one guy that's going back and looking at all these ancient spots that predate what the archaeologists are coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like him because he's talking about a civilization before the first earliest civilizations were recorded in ancient history.
That's right.
And he's rewriting all the books. And one of them, he was talking about, I can't remember where he was, Indonesia somewhere, or even he might have been in Mexico. And he was talking about one of the really old, ancient, man-made, we believe, pyramids that had this depiction of a serpent all the way around it. And he described it as this demigod that come across the sea, and it was half man and half serpent and all this sort of thing. Do you think that this is all connected and the powers that be don't want to recognize it, don't want us talking about it, don't want us rewriting history, and certainly don't want because it's all money, isn't it? It's all money, and how what we're taught in schools will change.
Oh God, things in schools change. They're just following a curriculum. It's actually a national curriculum in the UK to teach children what UFOs and aliens are. Do you know there's 150 schools in the UK that have done real crashed UFO scenes using real police officers to teach kids about the biohazards about UFOs?
No. Really?
It's all manipulation, isn't it?
If you don't, you know what? Just go onto the internet, go onto Google and type in UFO crash at school, and you will see there's hundreds of cases in the UK. They're passing it off as a creative writing skills program. Yeah, right, okay. But the thing is, like what you were saying, the gentleman in question is Graham Hancock, and the thing is that humanity has been rebooted a few times. There has been catastrophes on Earth, and those catastrophes have led to humans being almost wiped out. And this is a great loss of knowledge. I mean, if it happens today, how would we build a rocket? Because I don't know how to build a rocket. Do you know how to build a rocket? So if the guys die who know how to build rockets, that's lost technology. We will never. We have to again, build society, become intelligent, realize what's what, chemicals and how to build, and eventually we'll get back to that point again. This is what's happening. We get rebooted every so often. It's not a nice thing to think about, is it really, I suppose? But at the end of the day, apparently it's a natural process. These things that have happened over thousands upon thousands of years. But humanity has been around a lot longer than, they'll tell us. And the reason they'll tell us that is because the bottom line is that they don't really know where humanity came from. That's the bottom line. I mean, people go, oh, but what about Darwin? Well, you know what? Have you actually read Darwin? Do you realize why it's called the evolutionary theory and not evolutionary fact?
They're starting to rethink that now, aren't they? I think there's certain factors and scientists that are starting to rethink that.
They've got to come up with something, right? They've got to ease our mind some way, right? Because the biggest problem that we have is that we developed from something, and we were created in a certain way. And it isn't evolution. So if we start going down the different road about how long humanity's been here on planet Earth and so on and so forth, then the evolutionary theory starts getting very, very thin, and we can't do that. So we got to kind of stick to the script in a sense, and that's what they teach throughout schools, and we're still there now. But the bottom line is that the first appearance of, well, because this phenomenon goes back beyond documentation, historical documentation, because we have to rely on historical documentation to tell us. But what about the days before that? Which we don't know about. And there are a lot more of them than there is documented history. And the problem is that we can only go back, and the furthest back is 70, I think, from back what Barry Fitzgerald worked with, obviously, a lot of Project Doorway.
Yeah.
I think he went back, at the furthest back was 700,000 years to, I think it was Botswana, Mountain Botswana, where it was the very first deities of serpents were seen and sacrificed to, interacted with, all those sort of things. The serpent worship then spread across the whole world, and interactions did take place. In fact, many different ancient cultures built resonant chambers in certain locations under certain conditions, which is the rising, the setting sun, and creating a special arm. That's two frequencies. It's a double lock system in these ancient locations. Some of them are still very much active. To open up what might be referred to as a passageway or a doorway. Some people like even to call them portals, even though I don't like the word. And they can communicate with these entities, deities, gods, call them what they will, because they'll pretend to be anything that you want. But something from some of these societies, something went wrong, and they ended up destroying 70% of them. These locations where they were opening these communication channelings, in a sense, something went wrong because they ended up getting rid of, literally demolishing 70% of their own. So something obviously didn't go well and went right for them. The remaining 30%, some of them are still very active. I've been to those locations in other countries. We've done experiments. I mean, even Barry's done experiments as well, even in Ireland, where some of them are still very active. There are time displacement. We have time displacement meters now. We've got a great world of technology. We have to wait for technology to be built. There is latency, and latency happens. It shouldn't happen unless there's little black holes around, but latency happens because when we deal with the other sides, these other realities, there's a difference in time. We know this from the Skull experiment when a newspaper appeared. It happened not just one occasion, it happened twice. It was analysed. The ink was from the 1930s, the papers from the 1930s, also the same for the 1940s paper. They would look like they come straight off the press. They were legitimate timepieces. They were kept in a glass case. And what happened is that those newspapers aged 500 days per day. That's how fast they started to brown. That's the difference in time. Now I know, that there were some experiments involving CERN and a couple of other places that I can't mention, where they've tried to, open up a sustainable, because they know they exist. I mean, Harvard professors confirm those realities exist around us, and they can tell through the gravitational, distortions. Is that opening it and sustaining it for a short period of time? Can something go in and out? And they tried to get this mouse in and out, God knows how many times, and it kept failing. Eventually, they sussed out to do it by surrounding the mouse in argon gas, which allowed it to survive only for a few seconds through the other side and coming back out. Problem is, though, then the mice started dying very quickly. And they realised it's because it's rapid age cell, going through rapid aging. Because, there's a difference in time. So there's a massive, massive problem when it comes to apples, because if a mug is suddenly moved from the kitchen and appears in the middle of the lounge, we would have to question, because we've analysed those mugs and we've put them under scientific scrutiny, atomic analysis. In other words, broke them apart, look at them, and we find out that, whoa, might look like a mug, might feel like the mug, might weigh like the mug, but it ain't the mug. It's not the same. It's changed so drastically because of
wow.
It might even be a mimic. It might even be a quantum anchor, which allows the phenomena to know where to track phenomena to, because it's left something in that environment. Oof, dead easy. And what happens when you remove them? On a lot of occasions, when you move these apports, the phenomena suppresses for a short period of time. It's like it gets confused. Where's it going? And sometimes the phenomena follows the apports for a short period of time until it realizes and it kind of goes back. These can act as quantum anchors, in a sense of speaking. We're dealing with paranormal mechanics here. We're taking it apart and looking at what makes it tick. And what we're realizing, like even with EVPs, it's just a flat name, EVP. It comes from instrumental transcommunication from the early days of ITC through radios and TVs. Bocce was doing it exceptionally well, through radios where the actual tubes were taken out and it still functioned.
Yeah.
Tape recorders during the Skull experiment still recorded, even though there were no batteries in them. It's crazy. Light bulbs were lit up when power source. And they can do this. They can manipulate. And the thing is that what we realise is that there's this time difference, and it can be related to anything that's probably passed through. And apports, I believe, actually do go through this process. And the change was and it was what was really interesting when we looked at the scientific report and we looked at the dithyrambic reactions under the microscope. It's like, well, this isn't the computer. If it was have to weigh it up, it would say it isn't the cup or it isn't the mug that left. It's something else statistically. But to us, it just looks like
it's the same one. Yeah.
And the problem is that the dithyrambic reactions we'd seen before. And where had we seen that dithyrambic reaction? Well, we got the reports out, and it was in something called a plant traumatology test. And these plants were affected by a UFO that manifested close to the ground and affected the plants. Scientists came along and took samples of the plants to try and figure out what had happened to them. When they checked them, and they used the same process we did, atomic radiation testing under the microscope, they realized there was a dithyrambic reaction in them. Something had changed in them. That dithyrambic reaction is the same dithyrambic reaction in the apport. So if it's a UFO that suddenly appears close to the ground, manifests, or it's an apport that manifests, the same process in the physics of manifestation is exactly the same. They're both the same thing. They're both utilizing the same physics here. And this is another thing. It connects all these things together.
It's amazing.
Really
right, just quickly, we got some comments in the chat. There's a couple. So Ryan says, let's not forget any books or of documents that came from the time of beasts and legends, so to speak. Some are drunken rants. Others, I'm sure, are some truth, or at least elements of the truth. What are all your thoughts on how much of the documentation, such as, for example, the Bible, actually happened?
Okay, well, I mean, I put this to the test years back when I first started working with Barry Fitzgerald. He said to me, because Barry'd been in the field for 30 years. He'd been to 53 countries investigating the paranormal with Ghost Hunters International as one of the lead investigators. I've been involved in paranormal, more from a parapsychological stance and studies.
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to me, he was really interested in the UFO phenomena and ancient sites.
Yeah.
Realised that there's these deities, entities that basically play havoc with us. No matter what we call them, we change their names, but the face, the mask is always changing. And he said to me, when I first met him, come to Ireland, some of these legends are true. And I laughed at her. No, not having that. These legends, some of these legends. Well, they took me to Ireland and I experienced some of this stuff, and the bloody art. There are places in Ireland. I swear to God, there are places in Ireland you can go and it's enchanted music. It just surrounds you from nowhere. There are there are places in Ireland that are time slip, that are displacement. You can read it, you can experience it. There are places. There are places in Ireland that even the locals don't talk about. Get really well in to find out where these things are. When you do, there are at certain times, just after sunset, when certain passageways open and you can communicate vocally with a granite wall. It's just it's stupid. It sounds crazy, but I swear to God, it's true. I've been there and experienced these things, and I never thought. I thought, oh my God. I thought I spent 40 years in this field. I thought I'd experienced quite a lot. My eye was really open, and the whole world of I mean, those places are older than the pyramids in Ireland, and we realised very quickly that, well, you know what, some of this stuff is real. It's actually true. They're not just legends, tales, and myths. And when you talk about going back in time, the days of the giants. I mean, the giants all over the world. The Smithsonian Institute knew about them, were getting rid of them, trying to keep the best a secret. They got so many of them, we're taking them back to the Smithsonian Institute. No, they got so many of them that they end up dumping them at sea secretly just to keep the secret. These 10-footers. In other countries, they're even bigger. And it's linked in with the Bible. It's linked in that, that they appeared Mount Horeb. Why should it be the same place as Moses? That's interesting. The fallen ones. And then they bred with humans, became demigods in a sense of speaking, Nephilim. And, there was battles, there was warring. That's also happens because even though in those times the entities battle each other, they really do, and it gets even further confusing. But there is evidence of these things. And I would say, you can't dismiss it all. You can dismiss a lot of it, because a lot of it is just pure rubbish. But some of the things that they don't want you to know, which you don't read much about, if they really get hold of the scriptures and stuff, is, or I would say, authentic. It's the stuff you don't see much of, really, is what's important. And the things that they throw in your face isn't. It's like it's exactly the same as media today. My shackles go up. Straight away when every single media source is talking about, oh, well, UFOs. I think, well, yeah, you're on the bandwagon. Washington, New York Times and Washington Post, I'm doing it. Never touched UFOs in their lives, ever. All of a sudden, everybody's UFO friendly.
Yeah.
Because they're doing exactly what the Pentagon's told them to do. And this is the problem. The TTSA comes out, oh, well, this is a Tic Tac UFO. Massive, biggest screen I've ever seen. It must be about 40 meters, this screen, with scientists line up at the front to an audience of scientists and academics. Oh, this is the Tic Tac. It went out international, that video. Turns out it wasn't a Tic Tac UFO behind him. It was a photograph, one of my photographs from a UFO case I was investigating in Eccles in Manchester in 2004. It was a balloon. It was a number one novelty balloon. And yet they're saying to the world, oh, well, this is the Tic Tac behind us and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, what is the chance of that happening? What's the coincidence? In my photo. That photograph was only on one website on the internet, Jeff Rent's radio show from 2004. And they took it. Someone took it, someone manipulated it and passed it off. I mean, even my team would say, where's that photo come from? Whose is it? How did we get it?
Yeah.
There's all these scientists, and yet nobody asked that question. We're supposed to be these guys like Chris Mellon, who's the ex-defense guy for the US. Why nobody asked? I was very suspicious straight away from the beginning, and I realised what they were doing.
Yeah.
They're taking us in that direction. Oh, it's all a threat now. It's all a threat. Why? Because we want defense money. Defense money is trillions of dollars. And what will they do with it? They'll weaponize space with it. It's more using it anyway. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, a lot of proofs, the ancient stuff in biblical things.
We're going to let you go, Steve. We've had you on for longer than
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
We said
sorry,
we
and
would.
thank you though.
Into the swing, it just goes the time, doesn't
But
it?
you know what, Steve, when your Awakening Con has been and gone, and you've had your rest, we want to get you back on a show to talk all
Absolutely.
about, because there's more. There's so much more to talk about.
Oh,
We could talk to you for hours.
Oh
couldn't we?
yeah, we just.
so much we could cover. Yeah, absolutely. I not even got to the good stuff. Yeah.
I know.
No,
Well, we're going to get
no.
to that next time you're on.
You know what? I just wanted to say, getting back to the whole Irish thing. My parents were Irish, and my father in particular, even though they were sort of religious, they were just not quite religious. They were both Catholics. But the thing is that if you scraped away at the respectability of their religious beliefs, just underneath that was a very pure pagan soul.
There is.
And a lot of the stuff that they talk about in Ireland, a lot about like the Fae and stuff like that, my dad completely and fully credited that.
Oh yeah.
And he'd seen and had experiences with stuff like that as did his family.
They were experiencing it all the time. I mean, it was only 25 years ago when they actually stopped doing curfews in some of the villages. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Because you don't go out at the time because they're fake, you don't want to meet them. And it's true. And the things they were protecting themselves with, which is wrought iron, horseshoes over doors to keep boredom away. What do? We put round fancy cakes now. We think it's all about luck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, yes, absolutely. Do get in touch with me after Awakenings. I'd love to come back and reveal more.
And we want all the juicy gossip as well.
Absolutely, I'll deliver the juicy gossip.
Steve, thank you so much. It's been very kind of you to come on. Absolutely blown us away. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.
Right, guys, I want to thank you guys in the chat for your questions and for joining us. Steve will be back, I do promise you. Even if I have to go to Manchester and kidnap him myself, I'm sure Jackie will just let me have him for a couple of hours. Fine, while she gets on with something more important.
Very true.
Please send her our love and best wishes, by the way.
I will.
And we will catch up with Jackie at some point, and yourself as well, Steve.
Definitely.
But everyone, once again, we are back next week. We do have another guest for you next week. I hope you can join us next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Join Dan and I for another Simply Spooky. In the meantime, take care, everyone. And
thanks, guys.
nice
Thanks ever so much.
Another.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thanks ever so much.